Right, today we've got a roller door. This one's a B&D and it's ballooning when you close it. So what that means is when you press the button on the motor, the top roll starts to turn, but the bottom rail here fails to come down into the track and it bellows out on the top. So what we'll do, we'll see if it does it again. We'll push the button. That wasn't as bad that time, making a fool out of me. It's doing it sporadically at the moment. There we go, just like that. Then what happens, because the roll is bigger, as it catches up to itself, it drops. And then it sets off the auto reverse sensor in the motor because it thinks it's hit something. So there's only 2 or 3 issues that can cause this. The first one to look at is low spring tension. So put the door into manual. It's best to do this when it's closed in case there is very little tension and the door drops. But I have checked this one, so it's safe to unlock at the moment. Pull your manual release cord. The door does stay up, so immediately it doesn't look like it's super low on spring tension. Bring the door down about halfway, about there, and just let it go. And as you can see, this one does drop quite a bit, so the spring tension is not very well balanced on this door, so it definitely needs some spring tension. We'll just raise that back up. Do that by the motor. So the next thing to look for is the tracks possibly are too tight. We'll go and check the gap on the tracks. So what you want to look for is a nice gap, about 3 to 4 millimeters. As we can see here, that little roller on this side, we might just have a plastic block that's pretty much touching your track on the inside there. We'll go and check the other one. That one there looks very tight as well. That one's actually physically touching the track. And the one on this side's only got maybe a millimeter of gap there. So the tracks are way too tight on this door, so we're going to have to bring those tracks out a few millimeters, especially at the top. What we'll do, we'll bring it down about halfway and just check the gap on the halfway point. Still quite tight there, but the door does drop down a bit. All right, so the gap in the halfway point is a tiny bit better. So what we're going to do is loosen these top bolts on the track just a tiny bit and move those out a couple of millimeters, tighten them back up, and maybe just move the center one out just the same. The bottom looks pretty good. It should taper down into a slight cone shape from about 3 to 4 millimeters at the top, then a couple of millimeters at the bottom is perfectly ideal. And if that doesn't work, we can add some more weight. On the bottom of the door, we have a weight bar which helps the door feed into the tracks. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of spring tension and adjust the tracks, and then we'll give it another test run. All right, let's start by showing you how to do a quick retensioning of a roller door. So first we're going to go to the motor side. That side there we're going to loosen the U-bolt, and then on the other side that's where we're going to retension from because there's a bit more space, easy to work from. But both sides are quite easy to work on this door, which is good. So first we're going to tighten the side that we're going to undo later. The reason for this is when we undo the motor side, this side's not guaranteed to be tight. So we're just going to double check these nuts are tight. They were a tiny bit loose, but probably not enough to undo the tension. Now we're going to go across to the other side. We're going to loosen these. So we're going to loosen these 2 nuts here. Just like that. So they're quite loose. And because we've tightened the other side, we're guaranteed it's not going to come undone. And always make sure you do this when the door's open. Never undo a U-bolt when the door's down, because it will be under about 4 or 5 times more spring tension. All right, so now we're going to retension the door from this side here. We've got our pair of Stilsons that are pre-sized to this shaft because I left them on a door for about 2 years, so they should be the right size. We're going to get our Stilsons or vice grips vice grips. We're going to get our pipe wrench or Stilsons, pop that securely on the shaft of the roller door. Pull down securely to make sure it's attached to the shaft. Now we're going to loosen these two nuts on the U-bolt, pull down on the Stilsons to apply spring tension and do the U-bolt back up. So a firm grip on your Stilsons, and then undo both nuts on your U-bolt. Okay, so now your U-bolt is undone and quite loose. We can give that a good half a turn on the shaft. Still giving it a good firm grip. Now we can do the U-bolts back up nice and tightly. Okay, now still holding a firm grip on your Stilsons, slowly release the pressure. And then just make sure your U-bolt is definitely done up tight. I like to leave mine in position, locked in place, just until the other side has been done up. So we'll go over and do up the other side U-bolt. Over there. Okay, so now both U-bolts are secure. We can remove our Stilsons. And now we can check the door manually. It should be nice and balanced. It stays right there. We'll put it halfway. So put the door halfway and look at that, perfect balance. So now we know the spring tension is fantastic. It pretty much holds its own weights at every point. That's how you know you've got great spring tension. So you want a neutral balance, so the motor doesn't have any problems going up or down. If you have too much spring tension, it's hard for the motor to close the door. If you don't have enough spring tension, the motor struggles to lift the door and it becomes loose and will be susceptible to ballooning, as you saw before. Right, so that's the spring tension taken care of. Let's adjust the tracks. Right, so before we loosen the tracks, they're reasonably firm, but a quick and easy way to adjust the tracks, just a couple of millimeters. Grab yourself, I've got an impact socket here, but any socket's okay. Pop that on the edge of the track there. Rather than hitting it direct with the hammer, I like to use an object so you don't smack the bricks. Just pop that next to the mounting, give it a couple of taps, and that's it. That's adjusted about 2 millimeters. If I show you up here, we've got a nice, about a 2 millimeter gap there, maybe 3. The door's definitely not touching that track anymore. So that's a quick and easy way to adjust your tracks, only a couple of millimeters, because if you do loosen the nuts, you get quite a bit of movement there. And then we'll do the same on this one, and then the same on the other side as well. Just on there. Perfect, so now we have about a 2 to 3 millimeter gap on this one as well. Yeah, that's pretty good. So now we've got a total of about 5 millimeter gap on both sides combined. So now that should prevent the door from ballooning. Let's just lock that back into the motor. Press the button and we should have 0 ballooning. Look at that, the door comes down like a new one. So we'll try that once more. And look at that, the door comes down absolutely perfectly. The top roll moves at the same speed as the bottom bar. And last but not least, we'll give the tracks a bit of a brush out to get all the dust out. And then a quick silicone spray with our Worth silicone spray. You can use any brand, but this one tends to last a long time. And that will just finish off our roller door maintenance for ballooning. So I think we are problem solved. So that's how you fix ballooning on your roller door. I'm that roller door bloke. Thanks for watching.